everyone. Welcome back to the Optimization Toolbox. My name is Jenna Redfield. Today I have a very special guest. This is Jill Palmquist. She is the Chief Storytelling Officer at LifeTime. And we recently met through a friend and client of mine, Yasna Burza, who I've known for many years. And she has worked with Jill on her book, and she now does stuff with LifeTime. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So I first actually met you briefly at your book launch. I was at the event and it was amazing. Can you explain a little bit about what you do at Lifetime and your role there?
I started at Lifetime 20 years ago and I came in as a freelancer and I'm a writer by trade and I had a skill that they needed, to communicate and market to their members and people that they wanted to be members. So from that, I kept taking more and more, drinking more and more Kool-Aid and became really convinced of how powerful the brand is and how important Lifetime is in the world as far as trying to make people or help people be healthier and happier. So as I continued there, just writing, more and more opportunity came along and I jumped in with both feet and became a full-time employee. And from that, I became as a writer and then a creative director. And from there, the chief storytelling officer. Sometimes I write and then a lot of times I think about things. So the last 3 years has been kind of trying to tell the narrative of the company, first to ourselves, then to investors, and then finally to members and prospects. It's just kind of a trifecta there.
So, what does your, I guess, day to day look like? What are you working on? What are some of the projects that you do at Lifetime?
The constant nurturing of the brand. AI has come in and alleviated a lot of the heavy duty writing kind of stuff. We've got a lot of tools there. I
Mhm.
am thinking about the brand and thinking about the stories that we tell continuously. Like, how do we evangelize what Lifetime does to a broader audience, whether it's through our social media or through different events and different, just all sorts of different channels. My day to day is always kind of crazy. I've been working, Ramakrati has a book coming out, and I've been spending a
Mm.
lot of time working on that. I'm a ghostwriter for him there. I work side by side with the executive creative director, just thinking about what are we doing in January. So it's always a little different. I'm working on a speech. I'm out talking
Nice.
to people, and that's fun too. So.
So, you said that you could learn more about wellness as you worked at Lifetime. Is that a big part of your life as well?
Oh, it has become a really big part. And we talk about a healthy way of life. And it's not just about, it used to be about like, how good is my butt looking or do
Mm.
I have biceps? And now it's about, we call it all aspects of your health. It's the physical, mental, spiritual, social. So it's everything that we do kind of revolves around health, our relationships, where we go to this place that you feel at home, you feel nurtured and supported and seen. Lifetime provides all that. And it's a really big part of my life.
I feel like they've really embodied work and life because they have the lifetime work, so you can work in a healthy spot. You can, I think they're launching places to live as well. So there's lots of new ways to make it a lifestyle.
The brand itself is 35 years old, which is unheard of. And I think probably 15 years ago, Brahm, the founder, talked about healthy living, healthy way of life, and in this idea of creating villages where you could work, play, and live and take less car trips. So it's better for the environment. It's like connected to people that you see every day, and not have to go out of your this little ecosystem. It's all kind of conveniently there, so you're more inclined to do it too. So I'm in on it, and I think a lot of people are. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 living residences, and the work does really well too, Lifetime
Yeah.
Work.
Hmm.
There's probably 6 here in Minneapolis, and
Yeah.
there's waiting lists on all of them. So I think
Yes.
that's something people need and want.
For
So,
sure. I think
uh,
Lifetime has exploded in the last couple of years, and I've seen it because I worked at Lifetime about 10 years ago. I worked at one of the locations in the back desk. And so back then it was different. Like we had to have people, salespeople coming in and trying to get people to sign up. Now it's like they don't even need them because there's so many people wanting to be members.
yeah. That was
Crazy.
one of the things that the pandemic allowed us to do is to rethink that whole sales structure
Yep.
thing. And so now we have concierges that are basically there just to help people figure out what they want to do.
Yep.
And again, we've got like, it's both a blessing and a curse to have our clubs at capacity, that we've got
Mhm.
waiting lists for them. Because we want everybody who is there to not have to wait for machines or
Yeah.
like sit 20 people in a sauna. So we're very protective of that
Yes.
experience.
Yes, the Southdale one is constantly busy when I go there, but it's good. It's very alive. It feels like so energizing. Being in Lifetime, it makes you feel healthier just being around other people who want to focus on their health. So you last summer launched a book for Lifetime. Kind of explain what that is and your inspiration. I know it took you many years to finish it.
Was almost 10 years ago, actually sitting in the club, and that's such a privilege of being able to work for
Yes.
Lifetime is that you can work in the clubs. And, I would watch the people come in our doors, and it was everything from like little toddlers who would just like wobble in, but they were so excited to be there to there was one woman I just loved her. Her name was Anna, and she was at the St. Louis Park Club. And she was an artist, and she was a Holocaust survivor, and she
Mm,
was close to 100 years old.
wow.
And it would take her longer to go from the front desk to the locker room than her actual workout in the
Oh,
pool.
wow.
Just this slow kind of moving through the club. But every morning it was like, "Good morning, Anna. How are you doing, Anna?" And she enjoyed it so much. But difference there between that toddler and Anna, it was time. Like we're all
Mm,
passing through life in these chapters. And that was kind of the impetus for the book. And I took my boss proposal and just said we should showcase this and celebrate it and kind of like move through life, from our members' point of view. And he got it right away. And so started there, and it looked kind of like a crazy sixth grader's scrapbook, of just kind of putting this whole life experience together. Things happened where once I got it done, I'm like, then what do you do? Like
mm,
I didn't know how to get it done to the next phase, but then a couple people magically appeared, and one, Nick Berglund, totally had the eye and the heart, to figure out how to produce it. And then another friend of mine, Amy, came in and was the producer. And there were so many stops and starts, and the final piece of it was the publishing. And the day that we
mm.
went to ask for $1 million to get it published was the day that clubs closed for
Oh,
COVID.
wow.
I like to say we tabled the coffee table book. By logical means, that book shouldn't exist, but like the right people showed up at the right time, and it got birthed into the world, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's a coffee table, but can you have explain what the book is for people that maybe haven't seen it? I know it's right behind you. I can see it in your
See it.
camera. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
called In This Lifetime, and it just kind of just starts with just kind of like looking at the miracle it is that we're here, like how our atoms assembled, and like just the whole won the birth lottery by being born. And then it goes from there, like we're here and then we're in a body. What do you do with it? And so it's kind of like the care and feeding of your physical existence, but then it moves into kind of like a blueprint or a guide to kind of like how to make the most out of it,
Mm,
move through life. So intentionally Trojan horsed in Lifetime's kind of life, like what companies built on, but again, from a different kind of narrative,
mm.
a very eclectic point of view, because everybody sees and is in a different part of their life. Nobody is the same. And so it's kind of a tapestry, woven
Yeah,
together.
kind of
Yeah.
showing the lifespan too of a
Yeah.
person, which I think is really
Yeah.
cool because I think lifetime is for everyone. I mean, kids to the elders, like literally every type of person at the club that
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it does, Jenna, is
Yeah.
it goes from, the fact that you're here and you're born all the way to your oldest ages
Mhm.
and what it means to be happy through all
Mhm.
those different stages.
Yeah, and I know Lifetime has been so on the forefront of making it more of a lifestyle rather than just a workout. I think that's the biggest thing that I remember working there was it's a daily habit, it's routine.
Mhm.
How does your background in writing help bring that messaging to the masses? Because I feel like it's really just a cultural shift in that sense.
I think that so much has changed. We have so much at our hands now that can, we've got this app that is fantastic, full
Mm,
of content and information,
mhm.
education. It's full of workouts, all of these things.
Yeah.
While everything continues to change, I think that there's a few pillars that just don't, that
Mhm.
contribute to a healthy way of life. And my job is just to notice things and then to
Mm,
remind people of them. We always talk about the head and the heart information, like move, drink your water, eat fresh
mhm,
whole foods, get protein. To the heart, like, what is it that you want to do in your lifetime?
mhm,
So my job is to balance that, to give people information and to give them inspiration. And, advent of AI, I
mhm.
don't think that's going to change. It's all part of this human experience, and there's a few things that we set as a foundation. And I just am going to keep
Yeah.
continue with it.
I know like pickleball has become very popular and there's certain like more trends. What are you seeing when it comes to what people are like looking these days when it comes to a gym or going to Lifetime?
Well, you mentioned it previously just
Mhm.
about the energy when you walk
Yeah.
in. And
Hmm.
I think, we've got all sorts of programs and programming, of our classes to Pilates to training to kids to swimming to pickleball to tennis, keep going
Yes.
on there. But what I really think that people are hungry for is connection. And, a lot of people see Lifetime as their third place or their home away from home. And that we were all getting kind of awkward and lonely anyway. And then the pandemic took us to our knees, and we don't know how to engage that well anymore. And this is a beautiful place. You walk in, it smells good. People are friendly and happy. And there's a common interest, passion of something you enjoy. It's got all the right things. I really think that friendships are formed here,
Mm.
meet each other. And my daughter met her boyfriend there. They
Oh,
broke up.
wow.
Maybe we don't mention that, but you know what I mean? Like there's people get married at Lifetime, Our Aurora program is
Yeah.
like crazy with all the people that are over 60, 55,
Mm.
like, and it's a place and people for them too, to get them out of the
Mm.
house and do things they enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I remember that feeling whenever I go because it's just there's so many things to do and it offers so many things versus like a smaller gym that just has like one option and you've got so
Yeah.
many things. It's like its own ecosystem. There's so
Yeah.
many departments. How do all the departments work together with the storytelling? I'm curious about that because are you overrunning all of that or is it how do they all maintain that cohesive feel?
Yeah, again, one of the gifts of the pandemic was to be able to kind of really audit how we were doing and
Mm.
kind of trim the fat, if you will. And we really kind of consolidated all of our departments. And now, internally, we've got a very small and stealthy team, and everybody works together. And before it was kind of like,
Mm.
people were going off and doing this or doing that. And it's like we've got the same intention and we
Yeah.
talk about it. So,
Gotcha. That makes sense. Because if you have too many people, there's too many heads going
mhm.
that you just, nothing ever seems cohesive. I was curious how that
Yeah.
worked. Because I do think it has gotten better. Not that it was bad, but I just feel like I've seen it really evolve in the last even like 5 years since the
Yeah.
pandemic
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of the messaging and everything. So that's been
Yeah.
amazing. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because my whole interest with wellness is some of the cutting edge technologies. I know you guys are doing a lot of cool things with like longevity. You've got I think it's called the Miora
Mhm.
program. And we've also got these like Yasna was telling me she just did that massage that with the robots. Like, can you kind of explain like some of the things that you guys are moving forward with some of the cool tech happening in the world?
It's so funny that you pick up, like Yasna's on top of all of that
Yes.
stuff too. And, so we have to continually be educating ourselves and staying ahead of what's going on with AI,
Mhm.
and like what are the tools that it can give us. And I think, we were just listed as one of the top innovative companies in the world by Fast Company.
Oh wow.
So we are really exploring it and trying to get out ahead rather than just kind of keep up. But
Mhm.
there's, as the boomers get older, much interest in the longevity. So again, everything we do is from a member point of view. So that's why we're putting a lot of our and focus into that. That massage thing is crazy,
Mhm.
have a robot do your
Yes.
massage.
I need
So
to try
yeah,
it out.
you got to get in there.
Yeah.
I am gonna always be one that is gonna like the human contact there,
Yeah.
to exchange the energy and people are enjoying it. So Miura has all sorts of things like, then all the different kind of scientific adds to your diet and your
Mhm.
hormones, just being able to get out ahead
Yes.
and hack all of that stuff, or to be able to understand and then react with a
Mhm.
whole arsenal of different things like cryotherapy and
Yeah.
infrared saunas and
Mhm.
lasers and I should have the list
Yeah.
on the top of my head.
I heard that it does blood tests, right? So it kind of figure out what's going on. Is that part of that program too? I
Yeah.
think that's what Yasmin mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got partnerships all over the nation with different labs and testing sites. And I mean, blood doesn't lie, right? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If you can get in and look at your blood, you can get those markers and understand
Yeah.
the body from the inside out. And so, we've had the ability to do that for a while. We're just starting to like talk about it, we
Hmm.
call it
Yeah,
bulletproof.
bulletproof. It's like DNA. Yeah, like it doesn't
Yeah.
lie. And
Yeah.
that's been so interesting for me to see the evolution of the wellness industry in general. It has gone more with like, yeah, heat and all that stuff and the red light and all that. What do you think is the next 5 years looking like for Lifetime or just in general? Like, are you seeing other things? I don't know if you're allowed to talk about things yet, but what are some other things that you guys are working on that would be really interesting?
We have a philosophy there with think big, start small, move fast. And like that's with that Miora, piloting it here in Minneapolis. And
Mm,
I think we've got a second location in Ohio. But what our objective is in the next 5 years is to bring it to scale, to be
mm,
able to have those in every club across the nation, or at least a couple of those clubs, that people have access to it. Access is really crucial, when it comes to that, because you can read your own blood, but you need to have a
mm.
doctor there to support you and to talk about it. There's still so much possibility. I should bring up is like we've totally redone our supplement line.
Oh,
You can do some of the big stuff, but this is the day-to-day stuff that you have to integrate. And with the way that our diets are going these days, it's
hmm.
really, really important to pay attention there. And so you can
Yes.
test in that. So we're just trying to, again, it goes from knowing we're doing the right thing to so everybody has access.
And doing it well and not, and trying to be the cheapest thing. Some places don't do third party testing, so the ability to be able to do it at scale as well. Because so are you selling those online or is it just through the clubs or how does that work?
Online, everybody has access to that. And the app too, I want to just
Oh, yeah.
I make sure that that's free, and then
Hmm.
the LT shop is on there. And I know that, I mean, to talk about the book more, but I have to talk about the supplements and the
Yes,
app too, because it's
yes,
all part of this ecosystem of
it
healthy living
is.
that we're at a point where we can give like that app away now and all that knowledge and
Mm.
content and experience. But then we want people to be able to live healthy too with the supplements. So you can get on there. I don't want to
Yeah,
sound like I'm like soliciting or anything.
yeah.
It's
But part of what I mean, there's so many elements to Lifetime. There's the magazine, which is also educational, and you've got, different initiatives to just educate the general public, which I think is really cool. Can you talk a little bit about why that's been a huge pillar at Lifetime is just education?
Education is crucial. I mean, not only educating yourself on what your body is and who you are, but from all the molecular,
Mhm.
cellular things to like what's going on in your brain and
Yep,
your heart. So
yep.
it's like educate there, but then being able to apply it too. And
Mm,
there's so much crazy talk out in the world and so many different trends and everything. And one of the things that we've always been so adamant is the truth, the authenticity of it, that Experience Life magazine was built on is like
mm.
it's bottom line on this stuff. And all that content is in the app, like transferred it all. And so
Okay.
you can get in there and it's like a Google for health,
Oh,
that,
nice.
but it's all curated so that we've gotten rid of the bullshit.
Interesting. I would like to know more about how it's affected you, how your life changed in the last 20 years of working with Lifetime. I mean, healthy before, or were you just kind of on the side, or how have you applied the lessons from Lifetime to your daily life?
I'm somebody that I recently cleaned out my parents' house, and this was a
Mm,
couple of years ago, but I found this big stack of journals, 35 years old. Everyone had this reoccurring theme of like, I will be happy when I lose 30 pounds. I will be
mm,
happy when I lose 20 pounds. And so like I was a person that always dealt with my weight and my kind of myself on that.
mm, hmm.
And I tried a million different diets and it would be up and down or whatever. The thing about Lifetime is it is a lifestyle, it is a healthy way of life. And if you start to just do the little things, one smart decision a day turns into two,
Yes.
you just start to move like this whole like drugstore of like feel good hormones are released. So you really can't help but be, unless you try really hard to not do it, like one little thing by one little thing, you start to be healthy. And so Lifetime has really changed my life on, not on a professional level. Like I never thought I would be here in this place right now. Like I was just a writer, I'm happy in my corner, but to be able to represent the brand and all that it can do, and I think our lives are forged on the daily decisions that we make. Come along in one big swoop, one big
Yes.
thing. And Lifetime just has really been able to simplify it for me and do it kind of one thing at a time. People are surprised how good you can feel with just a little bit more water and a little bit of protein. So it's just those little
Yes.
things
And
and
And vitamin D is the one I've been working on because
yeah.
I did a blood test and it turns out I was low in vitamin D. So I was like, I had had no idea. But now I go out in the sun and track my vitamin D levels. So I think there's just like that helps your mood. So I'm big into just the small things too, the little hacks. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you do that you tell your friends about and everyone's like started doing it? They're like, oh my gosh, I learned this one trick. Is there anything that you do that people are like, oh my gosh, I have to do that?
Well, I think you're ahead of me on that one too, because you go outside and you check your vitamin D levels. I say it just a little bit different. I make it a point to get out in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
to take my dog across the field and to look up at the sun and the sky and to see what the clouds are doing. And I listen to the birds. And there's something about that that just like puts me into that moment, that into the day that
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of this whole kind of like landscape. Go outside and see how just a little encounter with some sunshine can change your day. It doesn't have to be complicated. And it's not any woo-woo stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like it's connection and just
Yeah.
vitality.
It's a mindfulness. It's
Yeah.
taking a moment to be aware of your surroundings. I know that you also love writing on your own, and I help set up your Substack a little bit. I want to promote that as it's going to be eventually live as we are putting this out. What was kind of your impetus to kind of do that? It's kind of separate from Lifetime, but it's also kind of a personal project. How did you decide to do that?
I have a little note on my desk right there that says, my only vocation is to bear witness to the glimpses of God I've been allowed to catch. And I just like, I think that if we all just take a little, I don't care how you want to define God or what that
Yeah.
means to you. There's so many beautiful things in our world, or funny things, and they're just little snippets of things of just being human. I've got them all written. I just still need some help with getting the mailing list on there. Just from chin hairs, like how you deal with a chin hair to losing a parent to like just like little moments of attention or consciousness on something. So I just want to write about life. My voice without having, with respect to Lifetime, I would never do
Mm-hmm.
anything that's way off, but
Mm-hmm.
like let's go smoke some cigarettes. That's not going to happen now, but
Yeah.
it's all about living a healthy, beautiful, filling, good life, a fun life.
Yeah, I feel like you have pretty, I hate to say the word work-life balance, but do you feel like it's kind of like Lifetime is your life as well? It's not just work. It feels like it's just, you feel like you live it, you know?
They're so good to me at Lifetime, and I have the autonomy that I need. But
Hmm.
I actually really like going in there. I really like the people. I like the energy once I'm there. But I also have a dog that I love. I was a single mom, and
Mm-hmm.
like I was able to care for her, and she's launched now. So
Yeah.
like I have a great work-life balance.
That's amazing. It's so lucky. And I was going to ask you, we kind of, but how did you keep talking about during the pandemic? You guys took a chance to kind of what's working, what's not working. I know that the pandemic was a crazy experience for Lifetime. How did you get through that? And how did the team kind of, because I know you did more digital stuff.
Yeah.
They were shut down for, whatever. So
Yeah.
how did you guys get through that? Because that's an amazing story.
We had probably the greatest leader in the world, the captain of the ship. And not for one second did he ever think that would not make it, and when you have somebody like that affecting else, there was I don't want to call it buoyant optimism, but there's tenacity there and
Mm-hmm.
resilience. So it because the clubs weren't going, we had time, and that is such a
Mm-hmm.
gift. So we would get together and we audited everything. We looked at
Mm-hmm.
like how things were working, and if things weren't optimal, we changed them, and so it afforded us quite a few opportunities to make things different. And so it sucked. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
oh, good, we've got some time. But when you've got a strong leader that's tenacious and resilient and you believe it too, it's an opportunity. Every time we've had, it's not the first time Lifetime's been in,
Mm-hmm.
peril, like there was a market crash in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Mm-hmm.
a couple other, financial situations, but every time it's come out as a stronger, more us too, more than ever as that came out. So our digital stuff just
Mm-hmm.
took off
Yeah.
and
To pivot quickly, which I think is really important for business, especially big business like
yeah.
Lifetime. So I know we have just a couple of minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to share that would be a great message to people? I know you love to inspire. Is there any like life that you found helpful as maybe in your career or in your wellness journey that you feel like people would maybe need to hear, or something that you share all the time?
From a very like simple perspective, I'd say if you're sitting there wondering where or how to start living a healthier life, it's just get up and move. I heard somewhere you can do anything for 5 minutes. Break that down to 2 minutes. Just like rearrange your molecules,
Mm,
change what's happening inside of you. And I think you'll be surprised that it's so contagious that you want to do some more of it. And then take a minute and just think about how cool it is that we're even here. We're here as ourselves, and that if that's not like the hugest miracle in the world, at this time in this place and with our own sense of humor, our own likes and dislikes, like just like the whole assembly
Mhm.
of who we are, to not lose sight of that. I feel like we've lost that
Mm,
idea of how crazy good it is and just like,
yeah.
whoa. And then one more thing, be the first.
Mm,
If like I think we're all still trying to figure out how to make friends and have relationships or be part of something, and it's like everybody feels awkward. So be the first one
mhm.
to say hello, be the first one to smile at somebody or to give a compliment because everybody's feeling that weird kind of ugh, I do thing too. So those are my
Yes.
little
Oh, I
things.
love that. I think that we all need to reflect. And I think your book is really good at that. It's really like looking back at life in general because we don't really think about life very
Yeah.
much, you know? I think that's kind of the mission of Lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like you gotta, health and time are your two most finite but precious resources. So it's like take care of both of those things,
Yes.
how
Yes.
precious they are, and not like we wake up at like 90 years old and like, what happened? We
Hmm.
don't want to squander this. It's supposed to be really fun, you
Yeah.
know?
I read in a book once, it's like you pay for health now or you pay later with not working on your health. You know, so you spend time and money on your health and
Yeah.
to kind of keep yourself the longevity going. And I think you'll have less issues as you age too, you know?
Exactly. And the only thing I'll add to that is that it's taking care of yourself can be really fun too.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It feels good. It's
Yes.
like a lot of enjoyment to be had in
Yeah.
that
And community
investment.
too, and
Yeah.
community and not just by
Yeah.
yourself. And that's why I like the classes. I'm a big class person because it's
Yeah.
like you do it with other people.
What do you
Awesome.
take? What's your
I like yoga. I get into Pilates. I haven't gotten into that yet, but I know I feel like I'd like it. I get more into need to get more into pickleball too. That's the other one I'm like I get back into pickleball. It's
yeah,
something that my mom plays. She's on a league and my aunt like it's big in my family and
yeah.
it's just I haven't gotten into it yet. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, so thanks so much for coming on, and people can connect with you on LinkedIn as well,
Yeah.
or on your Substack, which is Oh That Jill, or
Uh-huh.
yes, Oh
Yeah.
That Jill, and I'll
Instagram too.
Instagram as well. So I
Yeah.
will leave all the links below. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope people get to know you a little bit better.
I appreciate you so much. This was so
Yes,
much fun.
awesome. Well, thanks so much.